Hello. Today's presentation is entitled Closeouts. We're going to learn why we stay connected to our BHDs, or our ball handler dribblers. This is our agenda for today. We're going to find out what closeouts are and why they're vital. We're going to learn about the different types of closeouts, as well as keys to a good closeout. We're going to go back to the basketball rule book and see why rules are important when dealing with closeouts. We're going to look at some plays, and we'll put all this together in our review. So just what are closeouts? Closeouts are defensive actions where a player or players sprint toward an offensive player who has just caught the ball, aiming to prevent a comfortable shot or easy drive to the basket. The goal is to disrupt the offensive player's rhythm and potentially force them into a less advantageous position. So what are closeouts vital for? They're vital for contesting shots, limiting drives, and defensive transitions. Closeouts can help deny or contest the offensive player's ability to shoot the basketball, especially on catch and shoot opportunities. By aggressively closing out, defenders can prevent the offensive player from easily driving to the basket and getting a layup or foul. Defensive transitions are effective closeouts which can lead to defensive stops, creating opportunities for the defense to transition into offense. Next, we're going to look at the type of closeouts. Now, this particular page or slide is a little misleading. There are actually 3 types of closeouts. On this page, you see 4. There's a method to the madness. The first 2, closeouts short and long, are known as traditional closeouts, while the more modern type of closeout, sprint stop, is the non-traditional type of closeout, which is probably more frequently used at high school varsity and higher levels. So a short closeout is when a defender approaches an offensive player but stops about 5 to 7 feet away, keeping their hands up to contest a shot while being ready to defend against a drive. A long closeout is where a defender sprints towards an offensive player who is positioned to shoot, but instead of stopping a few feet away, the defender closes the distance more aggressively. And a sprint stop is when a defender rapidly approaches an offensive player, the sprint phase, and then suddenly stops their momentum, the stop phase, to contest a shot, prepare for a potential drive. One of the questions that basketball purists are asking and that we're going to try to answer in this presentation perhaps is which closeout type works better in today's modern basketball. So what are some keys to a good closeout? A controlled approach. The defender should approach the shooter under control, avoiding overcommitting or being too aggressive, which can lead to the shooter blowing by them. Balance. Maintaining good balance is crucial. This allows the defender to react quickly to the shooter's move, whether it is a shot or drive. Footwork. Proper footwork, such as a jump shot or a step back, is essential for a good closeout. It helps the defender stop on a dime and be in a defensive stance. If you're a basketball official watching this presentation and you're saying to yourself, you've been talking basketball language and player and coach speak for this entire time, and you have finally said something that has awakened my interest, I want you to remember balance, footwork, and hand position, which I'm about to read, if you're a basketball official, because it will become crucial in the latter part of this presentation. So in hand position, the defender's hand should be up and active, contesting the shot without fouling. The hand should be in the position to influence the shot, but not so high so they're out of control. Eyes on the basketball. The defender should keep their eyes on the ball, watching for the shooter's release and being ready to react. Reaction to shooter's moves. The defender should be prepared to react to whether the shooter decides to shoot or drive. This means being in a stance that allows for quick and lateral movement or being able to contest the shot effectively. Not overcommitting. The defender should avoid overcommitting to the closeout, which can leave them vulnerable to a pump fake or a quick move by the shooter. Staying low. The defender should stay low in their stance, which improves their ability to react quickly to the shooter's move and reduces the likelihood of being blown by. Being aware of help defense. The defender should be aware of the position of their teammates and know when help defense is available. This can influence how aggressively they close out. Practice and timing. Just like any other skill, a good closeout requires practice to develop the necessary timing and technique. Defenders need to work on their closeout technique to make it a natural part of their defensive repertoire. If you're a basketball player or coach, you have probably enjoyed this presentation thus far, or this is of interest to you. If you're a basketball official, you're still wondering, why am I viewing this presentation? It will make sense now. We're going to the rules of the road. For my basketball officials still with us, we appreciate you hanging in there with us. Now we should garner your attention and interest in closeouts. The rules of the road. Why are closeouts important to basketball officials? 1. Guarding. We must now know the legal or illegal guarding status of said closeout defender. 2. Verticality. Closeout defenders have the potential to leave their feet to prevent a shot attempt or contest a shot attempt. We must know, does their airborne status at any point violate any of the conditions of verticality? 3. Continuous motion. If said closeout defender fouls the ball handler dribbler who has ended his or her dribble, then does continuous motion apply? And 4. The act of shooting. Continuous motion goes hand in hand with the act of shooting. Is our ball handler dribbler in the act of shooting when the defensive foul occurs? If you know me at all, you know I stand 10 toes down with saying that as much as every rule in the basketball rule book is important, guarding is the most fundamental rule in basketball. So as a given, we will assume for my basketball officials that we are always refereeing the defense. In layman terms, we like to describe the maintaining of legal guarding position such that our defender can move left, right, and backwards. It's usually the easiest way to explain maintaining legal guarding position and the movements that our legal guard defender can make. In the book, of course, it's obliquely and laterally, but we're essentially describing the same thing. Why is that important? Because the action of closeouts has our defender moving forwards or moving forward, which means that by rule, our defender is no longer maintaining legal guarding position and therefore is not a legal guarding defender if he or she is moving forward to close out on a ball handler dribbler. So the actual action of the closeout would have to be complete for a defender to potentially obtain or reobtain legal guarding position once again. Essentially, this means the defender must stop moving forward. So now that we've established that the action of closeouts are not legal guarding actions by a rule, so simply put, you cannot move forward and continue to maintain legal guarding position. So now we ask ourselves the following. If a closeout defender chooses to leave their feet to prevent a potential shot attempt or contest a shot attempt, did the closeout defender reobtain legal guarding position before leaving their feet? And if they satisfy this particular condition, then did the closeout defender return to their own vertical play? We ask this question in case illegal contact occurs one way or the other. Which player, the ball handler dribbler or the closeout defender, is the initiator of the illegal contact? So in today's basketball, we often witness fouls by closeout defenders on the ball handler dribbler. And those fouls by closeout defenders usually occur in one of the following three common situations. A situation where the ball handler dribbler has started the motion for a try when illegally contacted by the closeout defender. The ball handler dribbler has attempted a shot and is illegally contacted by the closeout defender. Or the ball handler dribbler pump fakes and the closeout defender leaves his feet and the ball handler jumps as though he is attempting a shot, knowing that there's going to be contact between himself and the defender. The moral of the story is that it is important when these three situations occur that we know, does continuous motion apply? And if continuous motion applies, then we get to the act of shooting. And as we have mentioned, not only in this presentation, but if you've had the privilege to view other training presentations, continuous motion and active shooting go hand in hand. And these are rules that we should be prepared to know and apply accurately. Now, this part of the presentation should be of interest for everyone. We're going to look at a series of plays with the different closeout types. So we see as Brunson drives and passes the ball around to Karl Anthony Towns for the wide open three, we see that we have a couple of closeouts here. The closeout on Hart and the closeout on Cat. We're going to focus on the closeout on Cat. We're going to see that the defender, Nesmith, number 23 for the Pacers, he recognizes that Cat is open and he's not all that far from Cat. His closeout has him stopping just a couple of feet short of Cat with his arm extended to contest the shot. Traditionally, this would meet the criteria of a short closeout. In this particular play, we're going to see Siakam drive to the lane and pass the ball to Nesmith. Nesmith, who's guarded by Jalen Brunson, gets screened by Siakam, which leaves Nesmith free for a three-point shot attempt. Now, our defender is a good distance from Nesmith, and he closes out aggressively and leaves his feet to contest a three-point shot. This meets the criteria of a long closeout. We can make the potential case that our defender's feet lands in the landing spot from Nesmith, and Nesmith seems to land on the feet of the closeout defender. If this is indeed the case, then we should have had a landing space foul on our closeout defender. This play should look oddly familiar because it's the first play in the chapter. We decided to take a second look at it, and we're going to specifically look at the footwear of Nesmith. We noticed that as he closed out on Karl-Anthony Towns, he came to what is known as a jump stop or a 2-foot stop. Then he assumes a defensive position while extending his arm to contest a shot. This particular closeout, while initially it seemed out it was a short closeout, is actually more accurately in line with a sprint stop closeout. In this particular play, all three closeouts will occur. Typically, when teams play zone defense, as is the case with North Carolina Central, defenders are going to close out on the receiver of the pass. Following the first pass, the defender uses a sprint stop closeout to close the distance. Following the second pass, the defender uses a short closeout to close the distance. Following the third and final pass, the defender uses a long closeout to close the distance and contest the three-point shot. In this play, we have two short closeouts and a long closeout. Following the first pass, the secondary defender uses a short closeout to double the offensive post player. Following the second pass, the defender uses a long closeout to deter the three-point shot by the ball handler dribbler. And the same defender will be beaten on the drive by the ball handler dribbler to the lane and uses a short closeout to contest the jump shot. All three closeouts will occur in this particular play. So following the first pass, the defender uses a sprint stop closeout to close the distance. Following the second pass, the defender uses a short closeout to close the distance. Following the third pass, the defender uses a long closeout to close the distance and contest the three-point shot. So let's review what we've learned. We know we have three types of closeouts: short closeout, long closeout, and a sprint stop closeout. We know that the traditional closeouts are the short and the long, and the sprint stop closeout is the more modern closeout that is used on a variety of levels today. We've learned that the principle of closeout, as well as the players performing the closeouts, are subject to the rules of guarding, verticality, continuous motion, and active shooting. And continuous motion and active shooting should we have defensive fouls committed by our closeout defenders. So we did not forget which closeout is better. We want to give credit to bballplaybook.com for this wonderful table that we're going to utilize in this particular slide. And we're going to analyze which closeout is better, very briefly. So, traditional closeouts. Depending on the distance that must be covered, the advantage of traditional closeouts are that they lend themselves to be able to contest three-point shots better or prevent them altogether. And in modern basketball, on almost every level, where players frequently want to shoot threes more than they want to shoot twos, you may think traditional closeouts will indeed be better. There's an argument to be made about sprint stop closeouts. They lend themselves to give defenders an opportunity to regain balance, to resume a good defensive position, thus having the opportunity to adequately defend a potential drive to the lane. And as you can see by our table here, courtesy of bballplaybook.com, you can see some advantages or pros and disadvantages or cons of each type of closeout. From an officiating standpoint, I'm going to throw my money just slightly to sprint stock closeouts. And the reason I'm throwing my money towards sprint stock closeouts because sprint stock closeouts lend themselves to the defender resuming a good defensive position, meaning that our defensive player has an opportunity to resume or reobtain legal guarding position and defend the ball handler dribbler, and which lends itself to the possibility of less fouls. Where traditional closeouts, while they probably do deter more 3-point shots or shot attempts than sprint stock closeouts perhaps do, traditional closeouts also lend themselves to more fouls by our closeout defender. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. We hope you gained some valuable knowledge, wisdom, and insight from this particular training presentation of closeouts and why it emphasizes the importance of staying connected to our ball handler dribblers. For all of us at We All Are the Game, thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. Have a great day, and we hope to see you again real soon.